And the role of an NCO or anyone in a leadership position is to make things better for those who follow you. And even though if you may never see those benefits. So that's what I did, because I had people help me. And I will never stand here in front of everybody or talk to anybody and say, I did this by myself.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
I had teammates that helped me when I got hurt. I had my teammates and my family by my side. I was in the hospital. So why won't I do that for them now, for all these guys behind me? So that's what I did. I would go speak to them, tell them, hey, you got this. Because I like to say we all have a spark. And it's funny, here's a burn guy telling you that we have a spark.
It's funny. That's funny.
Something that drives us. Yeah. And sometimes you can, find it on your own, but sometimes you may need to hear a story of what someone went through and how they kept going.
All right, good Saturday morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to True North. Today is Saturday, October 12th, 2024. It is 8 in the morning. Hope you're enjoying a gorgeous morning here in southern Colorado, because we have the honor of doing that. Some friends to the east of us have endured something extraordinary. And at the time of this recording, the Hurricane Milton had not yet made landfall. But I want to take a moment right now and offer a prayer of hope and relief to our neighbors to the east and those who just endured Hurricanes Milton and Helene. And I offer a humble yet sincere prayer to all impacted by the storms. By the time this airs, it will have passed, but the devastation that it left in its wake will endure. And it's current for all of those who are living there. So while we are in a moment where words just kind of fail to really capture the moment, they seem trite and hollow, I just want you to know that there are friends and family all over this nation who are praying for you in earnest. Those who are thinking of you and those who pray that the hand of God is on your community as you journey to survey what to do next. I've been there. I've endured several hurricanes myself. I understand what you're going through. And to the friends that I grew up with there, certainly a shout out to you, and we're thinking of you. So do what you can to serve others and let this nation descend upon you with support. And I caught a prayer online the other day that seemed very fitting, and I want to read it to you. God of calm amidst the storms, we pray for those who are displaced by the winds and waters of Hurricane Milton and Helene. Give them peace and peace of mind and heart, even amid the struggles. Give them a real sense of your presence through helping hands of neighbors and friends who will help in concrete ways. And give those whose lives are unaffected by the storms the agape love to reach out to those who are hurting. Let us love without regard to what divides us, as we embrace what makes us one in you. In your holy name we pray. Amen. That prayer is by Diana Sanchez-Bosching and Derek Weber and Cynthia Wilson. I don't know who they are, but this was something I found online, and it just seemed very fitting, and I wanted to share that with my friends and family who are still on the East Coast. God bless. Well, let's get to the business at hand here, because we still have a show to run here. It's called True North, and I'm glad you're with us. If you've seen the most recent edition, you've seen Randy Gradisharg racing our cover, now a Hall of Famer. Congratulations, Randy. Randy was in here not long ago talking to us about his journey from Champion, Ohio, only 53 short miles from where he would be later enshrined at the Hall of Fame. So congratulations to Randy, and thank you for gracing our cover. Today we have a very special guest in the room, Israel del Toro. Many of you may have seen him on TV or various programs. He's recently won an ESPY. Unbelievable. We're going to unpack a lot with you.
Yes,
so Israel del Toro's in the house. Glad you're with us.
Thank you, Dirk. Thanks for having me on your show.
Really appreciate you being here, sir. On December 5th, 2005, Air Force Special Warfare Operator Israel del Toro's life changed completely when returning to his base in a Humvee when he ran over, he was in a Humvee that ran over an IED. The resulting explosion and fire burned del Toro and over 80% of his body. He survived somehow and was transported back to a U.S. hospital against enormous odds. His trials and tribulations to live were just beginning. For the first time, Del Toro tells his full story of his ordeal in a truly inspiring memoir called A Patriot's Promise, Protecting My Brothers, Fighting for My Life, and Keeping My Word. And this is the book, and I can't wait to dive into this. Israel, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Derek.
I'm so glad you're here. And you're now living in Colorado.
I am. I'm out there on my ranch. Been here, it'll be 9 years.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
It's almost going to be my second longest place I've lived.
Okay. So what's your connection to Colorado? I mean, what's...
For me, what brought me here back in 2015 was the military.
Okay.
So when I came back into the military back in 2005 when I re-enlisted, or 2010, I was an instructor. But while I was doing instructor, I was excelling in adaptive sports.
Got it.
Started learning them, started to get good, started to win, started breaking records. So the Air Force sent me here to train at the Olympic Training Center as their first para world-class athlete.
Very good. Yeah.
So that's what brought me here to Colorado.
Good. Well, let's get to know you a little bit. Before all of this story happened, you're a Chicago guy, right?
I am.
Born and raised back there?
Yep. Still support all my Chicago teams, even though I live here in Colorado. So sorry about,
Well, you can have Jay Cutler. Don't worry about it. We're all friends here. So
we wanted to return him back. But it's
right. Here's your change, right?
Right.
So tell us about the young Israel de Toro and your big family. I understand you have a huge family.
Yeah, I grew up in a town south of Chicago called Joliet. Not in the best area, bad side of town, you could say. But yeah, my dad was one of 16 kids. But
wait, your dad was one of 16?
Yeah, he was the second youngest.
Oh, God bless your grandmother. Okay.
But only 10 survived because, back then they were on ranches and,
gotcha.
Illnesses and scorpion bites that, killed some of his brothers before him. And then, my dad met my mom, in Joliet. Mm-hmm. My mom actually was born in Texas, but raised in Illinois. And, we were a family of four. I was the oldest of four. We were all boy, girl.
Okay.
And being raised by my dad and my mom, my dad was all about his family. Anytime our birthdays came around, he would throw these big parties, all the family would come around, and we're the smallest on my dad's side.
Smallest family.
We own, total of 6.
Oh. So this legacy continued through
this
his...
legacy continued. Like all his brothers and sisters had 6 and above.
Oh, my
So
goodness.
when everyone would get together, you can just imagine the massiveness of people there. So
it's a small town.
It's a small town. So, even like you have a wedding, it's all family. You don't need to invite friends because you're paying
400 people there.
Right. So it was interesting, growing up and with my dad. My dad worked at this paper mill. My mom was at first an assistant teacher, and then she became a hairstylist. Mm-hmm. But I remember, being on my bike and taking my dad to lunch. And my dad worked about, I want to say a good 10, 15 miles away from my house. And me, 8, 10 years old, riding my bike and taking him lunch. You think of that now, people like, oh my God, I'm not going to let my kid go a block away on a bike. And I'm going 10, 15 miles away.
In Chicago.
But that's how, our generation grew up. We didn't know, our parents had no idea where we're at,
Yeah.
All you would hear is one of your friends like, hey, man, your mom's calling you, be the grapevine,
Right. Street lights are on, time to go home.
You're out there playing all day. So it was fun. But, unfortunately, my dad, he started having lung issues. And his last year and a half of his life, he couldn't work anymore. And he was pretty much on a respirator. Mm-hmm. So it was tough, my dad not being the same guy I remember,
Sure.
us going to car shows, watching cars or going to soccer games because my dad used to play soccer, and then, when he couldn't anymore, he would go, watch the local team called La Garita, which was the name of the town that he grew up in Mexico. So even though he was still, in that respirator, we still would do things, but not as often.
Sure. Yeah.
But, at one point, my dad, it was right after Christmas in 1987. He went to Mexico to try and see if they can help him, with this issue. And when he was out there, he called us on January 25th of 1988. And he's talking to all of us. And while I'm still outside, messing around, and my mom tells me, hey, come talk to your dad. He wants to talk to you. So while I'm talking to him and he's telling me, having a regular conversation, then he tells me, hey, son, I need you to promise me something. He's like, what's up, Dad? I was like, promise you'll take care of your family, take care of your brothers and sisters. I'm like, and as a 12-year-old kid, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, no, promise me. And I promised him that. And we hang up, and unfortunately, the next day when we're coming home from school, I have two of my older cousins there waiting for us. And they tell my mom what had happened, and that we lost our dad.
You lost your dad that night.
We lost my dad that morning, the 26th of January.
That was profound, the conversation you had the day before.
Yeah, it was, I don't know if my dad knew he was going to leave us, and he would just wanted to leave me with something to keep me going, but that promise really shaped and guided me all throughout my life.
Clearly has. And that's the promise, keeping my word, part of the book.
Yeah, that's my promise.
That I want to drive into a little later on. Hanging out with Senior Master Sergeant retired Israel de Toro. And we're going to get into his journey over to the other side of the world, where life took a drastic turn for him. And we'll unpack that a little bit. We'll go through that journey, but then on the other side of it, what it's been like for his family and his friends, and now what he's doing with the rest of his life to champion the underdogs and to make sure that they understand that there's a reason. There's quite a bit of inspiration to be found out there. And I want to let you unpack that in the way only you can.
Yes,
so
sir.
Thanks for being here. We're back with Israel de Toro in just a moment. All right, we're back here, second quarter, True North. I'm your host, Dirk Hobbs. I want to give a quick shout out to my friends at Colorado Springs Orthopedic Group for underwriting this program. Thank you very much, folks, and our friends at Boot Barn Hall. Guys, we appreciate you because we get to meet people like Israel de Toro. He has had an incredible journey. Originally from Chicago, found himself in the throes of the war in the Middle East, and that's where we're going to pick up with Israel right now. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate your service, obviously, and obviously we mourn with the loss of your friends that day. December 5th was the infamous day.
Actually, it's December 4th.
Okay.
That's when I got hit.
Okay. So let's walk through that event real quick, that morning, because I know a lot of people have heard this story, or a lot of people have read about the story, and I'm sure you've told it 100 times.
Yes,
but
sir.
give us kind of a synopsis of that day, and then.
Yes, sir. So we're out on a mission with my scout team, and there's a high-value target that we had to capture or kill. And we had been out there a couple of days, and nothing had really happened. So that day of the mission, we were coming back, and there's only one road in, one road out. And we're coming back.
Where were you guys?
In Afghanistan.
Okay.
Qalat.
Qalat, okay.
That region. And our team has split in two. And so we're going to go pick up the other half. And we cross this creek, and no more than 200 meters that we cross this creek, do I feel an intense heat blast on my left side. I'm like, holy crap, I just got hit. So I get hit, I get out of the truck, but when I got out of the truck, I was on fire from head to toe. I tried to run to the creek, but the flames overtook me, and I collapsed, and I'm laying there like, oh my God, I'm going to die here. I want to break my promise to my family that I'll always come back. I want to break my promise to my son that I'll never let him grow up without his dad like I did. But most importantly, I'm going to break my promise to my dad that I'll always take care of my family. And that's when one of my teammates says, DT, you're not going to die here. He helps me up, and we jumped into the creek and to extinguish the flames. And the sound that I heard was the same sound you hear when you put a hot pan in the cold water, that sizzle sound. But my job didn't stop there, because, my job in the military was I call in airstrikes. I'm a TACP, a Tactical Air Control Party. And so as soon as I got hit, the team the second half of our team that were picking up got hit in a crossfire, and they're calling back for help. Mm-hmm. So all my radios were short, so I had to figure out what to do. Luckily, one of the scout members had a radio called an emitter, and I said, hey, repeat everything I say so we can get help here. And he did, but by the time the last transmission went out, I started having a hard time breathing. I started getting scared. I always tell people I'm never going to stand up here and say like I was Rambo, nervous as steel. I might have been for a few minutes when the adrenaline was up, but once the adrenaline came down,
right,
started getting scared. And I wanted to rest and sleep. And the medic said, I can't let you fall asleep. You got to stay up. Because he knew, I didn't think I was badly injured. I didn't think I was that badly injured, but he knew I was. Mm-hmm. And knew if he let me fall asleep, I may not wake up again. So he's using things to motivate me. I like to say we have a spark that drives us. And he knew my spark was my son. So he was using that to keep me going.
How old was your son at this time, Israel?
He had just turned 3.
Okay.
And so he was using that. He kept me going until the medevac came. And I remember they wanted to carry me out. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I walked into this fight. I'm going to walk out of it. Huh. So I hobbled to the helicopter. And I remember the flight in and out. I remember landing, them taking me to the field, into the little field hospital, seeing some of my other teammates there. Then the doctor cutting off my watch and saying, you're going to be okay. That was December 4th, 2005. I wake up March of 2006.
Oh, wow. That's extraordinary. So you were out for quite a while.
Yeah, 4 months.
And the communication back home to Carmen, what did that look like?
So I had always prepped Carmen, my wife, that, if my friends call, something happened. But if my friends and a priest show up to the house, I'm no longer with you. I'm with my parents. Mm-hmm. So Carmen was actually in Mexico at the time because all the other wives went back to the States because we were stationed in Italy. And so she didn't want to stay out there by herself, so she went back to Mexico. So they call her, and Carmen had just been, it was her birthday, December 5th, when they called her. She was at church, and her sister was there at the house, and they call, and she's like, well, we're not, she's at church, like, okay, we'll call back like in 10 minutes. So her sister goes to where Carmen's at church, and Mass had just finished, and she was coming back with my son, and her sister said, hey, because my family calls me Junior.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, some of Junior's friends just called, and they said they're going to call you back in 10 minutes. And she's like, oh my God, something's wrong. And her sister's like, no, he's okay. They just want to talk to you. He's like, no, I know something's wrong. So she runs back, and they obviously tell her what had happened, mm-hmm. That I got hurt, my injuries, that they're going to fly me into Brooke Army Medical Center there in San Antonio on December 7th. And they wanted, obviously, her to be there.
So you were stateside pretty quick.
Yeah, I was stateside. But the bad thing about the situation was, while we had moved within 2.5 years, we had moved to 3 different places. And Carmen's residency card got lost. So by the time when she was in Mexico, her visa had run out. So when they called her, she's like, she tells my teammates that, well, her visa's run out. And they're like, well, we'll help you. And she's like, no, let me try first. And she calls the embassy and tells her what had happened, tells them what had happened, who I am, where I got hurt, where I'm going to be landing. And the response she got was not the response she should have got. Because the person on the other line on the phone tells her, well, you can go to the border and try and cross and see what happens.
Oh, come on.
And this, what do you think my wife's thinking?
Sure.
They tell her that. So she waits for my teammates to call her back. I land December 7th in the morning, and my wife's by my side December 7th in the afternoon, that evening.
Okay, so she was able to get across. Carmen, of course, sitting right to your left. Yeah. The lovely Carmen. And what's your son's name?
His son's name is Israel also.
Israel the Third?
He is.
Very good. You must have been going bananas, Carmen. Yeah.
Yeah, it still affects her when I tell the story and she's around me. It's like
pretty close
brings
to
her
home.
Back to home.
It does. That's a lot going on. Yeah. So walk us through the first hours. You wake up and
well, it's crazy waking up.
Especially after so long.
Because they start asking you, do you know where you're at? And I'm like, well, obviously I got hurt. I probably got sent to launch school in Germany. I was like, no, sorry, no, Toro, you're in San Antonio, Texas. I'm like, okay. Then they're like, do you know the date? December something?
Sure.
They're like, no, it's March of 2006. Huh. And you're like, holy crap. And then they start telling you what had happened.
Mm-hmm.
They start saying how, you see third-degree burns on 80% of your body. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we had to amputate, fingers. Yeah, you almost died on us 3 times. And we only gave you a 15% chance to live. And obviously, you were in a coma for 4 months. And now they start telling you what your life's going to be. What's your prognosis, I guess you can say the term. And they're like, okay, now you're awake now, but you're still going to be in a hospital for another 1.5 years. You may not walk again. You'll be on a respirator for the rest of your life. And your military career is pretty much over. And they're waiting for your reaction. They're waiting for what you're going to say. And obviously I couldn't talk because I had a trach.
Okay.
So they're just reading lips. And I pretty much told them they can go to hell, but with more colorful words. Because I never accepted what my life was going to be by what other people said. A kid that lost both of his parents within 1.5 years on the bad side of town in Chicago. According to extra shit, I should have been a drug dealer or a gangbanger. I was neither. I was an athlete and a scholar.
Attaboy.
And then when I wanted to go to University of Illinois, and when my counselor said, maybe go to a junior college, which there's nothing wrong with it, but I wanted to go to University of Illinois. And when I got accepted to get a full academic scholarship and slam it down on his desk and tell him to F off, that month-long detention was worth it. But maybe I should have had a little bit more tact when I did that, because I went to Catholic high school and my counselor was a father. So
I think you get a pass on that one, man.
So now why am I going to accept what these doctors say my life's going to be?
Right.
And so after they told me all that, I pushed every day, asked to go to rehab, get me up, getting, walking. And 2 months after I woke up, I left that hospital walking and breathing my own. After they said I'll be here for another 1.5 years, wouldn't be able to walk, and now we'll have to have a respirator. And I beat those odds.
Israel, I don't know where to begin in terms of just sensing the grit, the sheer determination and love for life, and the desire to honor your promise to your father and your family. And I am so grateful to be able to spend this time with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dirk.
I appreciate it. We're going to jump on the other side of this commercial break. We're going to jump into Israel's current journey and where he's headed, because he's speaking all over the world. He's meeting incredible people, and they're meeting him, and they're enjoying what he has to say. And they probably have experience the same thing I'm experiencing in this room, which is pure, absolute determination and beauty and love. And I'm just glad you're here.
Thank you, sir.
All right, we're back in a moment with Israel de Toro. All right, we're back here, third quarter with Israel de Toro. He is a senior master sergeant, retired from the Air Force. Thank you for your service, sir. And he is also the author of A Patriot's Promise. So I want to encourage everybody to take a look at this book. I'm yet to consume it, but when I do, I'm going to go headlong into it, my friend. I can't wait to understand the genetic composition that makes a man like you tick, because against insurmountable odds, you have conquered everything in front of you. And that's, I mean, in some ways you must feel like, okay, I'm just Israel de Toro, right? And your friends call you DT.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to start calling you DT.
Yes, sir.
Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. His website is deltorostrong.com.
Yes, sir.
Did I get that right?
You got it right.
Okay, deltorostrong.com. You can pick up his book out there, look for him if you're looking for a speaking engagement for folks to come in and say, especially if you're surrounded by people who say, I don't want to do this thing, or they think their life's been a little tough on them. Walk a mile in this gentleman's shoes. I think you'll find out that's probably not the case. But glad you're with us, sir. Thank you for being here. I want to understand a little bit more about what makes a gentleman like you wake up every morning and say, "This is what I'm doing. I'm doing it my way."
Right.
And who instilled that in you?
I think it really comes back to that. My dad.
Okay.
My dad was everything to me. I mean, I followed my dad everywhere. I remember him telling me, if you don't succeed, it's no one else's fault but yours. Don't blame because where you grew up, what race you were from, it's you. And so he always installed these pillars for me to, use. And then that last one before he passed, the take care of your family really shaped who I am. So when I got hurt and waking up and, being told that I can't do this, it's just, I'm going to do it. And yeah, I got out of the hospital, but I still had a mission. Did I miss being with my guys downrange? Of course. Mm-hmm. But was I wounded? Yes. But I was still an NCO in the military. And I saw all these guys in the hospital as my teammates now. And the role of an NCO or anyone in a leadership position is to make things better for those who follow you. And even though if you may never see those benefits. So that's what I did, because I had people help me. I will never stand here in front of everybody or talk to anybody and say, I did this by myself.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
I had teammates that helped me when I got hurt. I had my teammates and my family by my side. I was in the hospital. So why won't I do that for them now, for all these guys behind me? So that's what I did. I would go speak to them, tell them, hey, you got this. Because I like to say we all have a spark. And it's funny, here's a burn guy telling you that we have a spark.
It's funny. That's funny.
Something that drives us. Yeah. And sometimes you can, find it on your own, but sometimes you may need to hear a story of what someone went through and how they kept going. Because for me, I was never going to be that guy that sat in the hospital or even getting out of the hospital, sitting in a chair, staring out the window saying, why me? I had a 3-year-old son at the time. If I did that, what am I teaching my son? Am I honoring my promise to my dad to take care of my family?
Beauty.
No. I was like, so I wanted to show my son, hey, son, yes, what happened to your dad was jacked up, but he's not going to give up. He's going to keep fighting. He's going to show you that there's still joy in living. They can still have a productive life. Mm-hmm. That my disability wasn't going to define me. I was going to define who I am and who my life was. But really, I wanted to show those guys that left that bomb a big FU, saying, you ain't going to ruin my life.
Can't catch me now.
So that's what I did. And yeah, Was that journey tough? Of course it is tough. You know, I went from 115 pound, or I went from a 200 pound muscle head to 115 pounds. But again, you're going to have those bad days. And you're going to want to spiral down that rabbit hole. But I had my family. I had my friends. I had those words that my dad gave me, those 12 years I had with him to help me get out of that. It kept me going, kept me fighting. Mm-hmm. And that's who I am. That's what I do. And now, do I hurt every day when I wake up? Every morning I wake up, I'm in pain. Mm-hmm. But I get up and I was like, you know what? I got to be at the gym by 6 o'clock to go work out. And I'm there. And people ask, why do you still do that? It's like, because that's my place. That's where I kind of zone out. That's where I can feel like me. But I also do it for others. Mm-hmm. I show them that, hey, yes, I'm missing fingers, but I'm still out there.
Yeah.
I'm still lifting. I'm still throwing up 265 pounds on bench,
Right on, man.
I'm still, doing the Stairmaster. And the purpose is, again, to give people hope, help people find that spark.
But you're also just living your own life, Israel.
I am. I come home, I'm on my ranch, with my dogs, hanging out with my wife, and doing things that I enjoy. But at the same time, I still, when people reach out to me, it's like, Sergeant Toro, will you come speak to us? Mm-hmm. I do it because I enjoy it. I enjoy meeting people. I enjoy helping those individuals because I know I'm a realist. I know I'm not going to touch 100% of people. Mm-hmm. But those one or two that really need it,
you're going to get them.
All that pain, all that suffering I went throughout my life is worth it. And for years, I never thought of myself as, this inspirational, resilient guy. I don't see myself like that. Like you said earlier, I'm just DT that puts on his pants just like everyone else. Yes, it may take me a little longer, but I'm still that guy that likes to hang out with his friends, may enjoy a Jack and Coke, and
I'm down with that.
And go to car shows and play video games with his friends.
Yeah.
But that, I didn't realize who I was, that impactful person, until one time when I gave a speech at McGuire Air Force Base for the whole base. And after I speak, I open it up for questions. And people may ask me a question, or they'll wait for me to get off stage when I'm shaking hands to ask me a question, or they'll wait till I'm gone and reach out on social media. But this one young lady, she was an A1C, meaning she was probably in 2 years, stands up and says, Sergeant Toro, thank you for helping me.
She's standing in front of everybody.
In front of everybody.
The
meaning
command.
All her leadership, command.
Okay.
And says, thank you for helping me find the joy in life again. To help me find my spark. I've tried to end my life many times. And you have shown me that I can still fight on. That no matter what, I will still enjoy life. And that's when it impacted me. Because for her to stand up and say that, that's when I started realizing, okay, what I do does help people. Because, there's always times when you're like, am I really helping anyone? Mm-hmm. But when that young lady stood up, as I realized, I'm like, okay, there really is a purpose.
There's a purpose for you here.
For me to be here.
Yeah. Because,
you're going to have times like, why me?
Have you stayed in touch with some of the folks you've met?
I do. One of my nurses, Bonnie, I talk about her and another nurse called Kim. For me, the nights in the ICU were horrendous. I hated it.
Yeah.
But when I knew they were there, I knew it'd be okay. And Bonnie, what's the crazy thing about Bonnie? She has the same birthday as I do.
Okay.
Her daughter has the same birthday as my son. And we always talk to each other. We're always sending messages. Obviously, with our birthdays,
Yeah.
But then I also have Gary, who I like to say he's like my guardian angel. He was my physical therapist who was with me during my darkest hour when I first saw my face, when I broke down and wish I died. And he's the one that was there with my wife that just told me, hey, you got this. Don't quit on us. You don't realize how many people you inspire. I was like, I don't care. And then telling me that, because he knew why I was scared, why I wish I died. Because at the time I was a 30-year-old man. And if I thought I looked like a monster, what was my 3-year-old son going to think? My son was my spark. He was my everything. And the thought of him being terrified of me crushed me.
Absolutely.
And then Gary said, DT, all your son wants is his dad. That's all he cares about.
And he ran up to you.
And the day he saw me, he did. He ran up, he stopped. And I was like, oh my God, he's scared. And he tilts his head to the side and says, Papi? I was like, yeah, buddy. He comes up and gives me the most amazing hug in the world. Man. And I remember my wife's saying, don't hurt your dad, because I was still, I was like,
I don't
quiet.
care.
It was like, leave me alone, let me hold my boy, because at the time I hadn't seen him since August of 2005. And by this time, it's like May, June timeframe of 2006.
So it's almost been a year.
So,
yeah.
But again, all throughout my journey, I always had help.
Yeah.
I had teammates by my side, family members. And that's why I like trying to instill that you can't do it on your own. You're always going to have help. You may not realize it until later that you have that help. But eventually you do. And because again, at the end of the day, I'm just that 12-year-old kid honoring his dad's promise and hopefully making him proud of him.
You certainly are, sir. Back with Israel de Toro in just a moment. All right, we're back here fourth quarter with a new friend of mine, DT, Israel de Toro. And if you've been listening to this program, you have no doubt been impacted by the story that this young man has endured and enjoyed over the course of his life. And, of course, his lovely wife is here, Carmen. How are you? I know you don't want to say too much, but anyway, Patriot's Promise is on the market. You get, I assume, Amazon. And
anywhere books are sold, you can get it Amazon, Barnes & Noble. It's also on Audible.
Audible. Very good.
There's some people that want to hear it. Yeah.
Yep. And then there's deltorostrong.com, and that's his website. So if you're looking for a speaker to come out and tell an extraordinary story to your staff, to your team, to your company, to your school, just a group of people who want to be inspired by somebody who's overcome insurmountable odds. This is an extraordinary young man to hang out with for a little bit. And thank you for coming over here to speak with us.
No, it's my pleasure. It
really appreciate you. Well, we're obviously going to skip over a lot of stuff, right? The in-between times.
Yes, sir.
When it's just you and Carmen at the house and, there's just the Del Toro family doing their thing, right?
Yes, sir.
There's that. And then there's this public persona that you've now taken on. Yeah. But it's taken you to some extraordinary places. Give us some of the highlights. I know you've met Prince Harry and some others.
So I obviously, I've met a lot of people and all that's cool for me. Mm-hmm. But I see it as an opportunity to talk about things that have happened, how we can make things better for individuals, injured, wounded, ill, or anyone having a hard time. But I've got to meet Prince Harry. He's a good friend of mine. Mm-hmm. President Bush, another very good friend. Jon Stewart. I've met a lot of celebrities.
The comedian,
Comedians, a lot of comedians.
Do they think you're funny?
They think I am funny.
Okay.
I think they... At least Jeff Frost and Dave Attell, because they had me on their Bumpy Mike's show on Netflix.
Yeah, that's fun.
But it has been extraordinary because sometimes I'll sit down on my back porch down my ranch and I'll just look back. I'm like, holy crap! The people I've got to meet, people I've got to know, people who I've got to be my friends. would the kid, that 12-year-old kid that grew up on the bad side of town, imagine he would know all these people or start receiving, awards.
Mm-hmm.
And what I do, I don't do them for awards. I don't care 2 bits about awards.
Yeah.
I do because I want to help people. But sometimes you receive things for them, like, in 2017 when I received the Pat Tillman Award for Service, the ESPY. And, the ESPYs are probably one of the only award shows I watch because I'm into sports.
Yeah, that's right.
And being called, which was an interesting story, I was working at the academy there at the Wings of Blues, teaching cadets how to skydive at the time when I was still in. Them calling me like, "Hey, Sergeant Toro, this is, ESPN. We want you to come to the ESPYs." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, cool." I'm just all excited. And they hang up, and I'm telling my friends, and then, like, not even 5 minutes later, they call me back. Like, "Sergeant Toro, did we tell you that you're nominated for the Pat Tillman Award for Service?" I'm like, "No, you did not." I was like, "Well, you're nominated. We don't know if you're going to win, but we hope you do win." And
Of course.
so now I tell I go back and tell them, "Dude, I got nominated." And I think it was like in June when they call me, it's like, "Sergeant Toro, you won." But you can't tell anyone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's easy.
Until we release it.
Yeah.
And I remember when they released it, I was actually getting ready for the Warrior Games, for the competition that was going to be held in Chicago, where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
And they're the leadership there at the games, like, "Hey guys, we want to let you know that one of our athletes here just won the Pat Tillman Award for Service." And everyone's looking. I'm like, and it's DT, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" And, that was pretty cool. And then going to the show, receiving it, and then my good friend John Stewart presented it to me. Yeah, that was cool. And then this year, now them reaching out to me, ESPN, and me be a presenter and give that award to Prince Harry, who was a friend of mine. And I know some people, there was some controversy. Some people were like, "Why does he deserve, because, obviously because of what's going on with his family." And for me, I was like, you know what? It's not about a lifetime. This award is about helping others for service. And what he has done with the Invictus Games,
extraordinary.
It's been extraordinary, helping those wounded, injured, ill service members.
Yep.
And that's what is the spirit of that award.
Yep.
And so for me, it was a no-brainer.
Yep.
I got no problem giving it to my friend.
Do you ever look on the landscape of our culture right now and go, why are we so focused on canceling people and giving people such a hard time?
I think people are just, I don't know what it is. It's like, get out, do something. Why are you trying to stop someone from when they're doing something good? Because even when I went, I had haters. I mean, I remember my sister telling me that, obviously 99% of the people were congratulating my social media, but then you have those people, my sister engaged, and I'm like, just ignore them.
Yeah.
They're probably, hating life. They have nothing else to do. And for me, it's like, get out. There's so much joy out there to enjoy, so much beauty in the world. Why are you going to focus on something that, is it hurting you?
Mm-hmm.
So I never understood why there's people that, if you don't agree with them, don't like them, there's button on the remote.
Yeah.
They can change.
Yeah.
Or there's on their social media, just don't follow them then.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you want to
spend all that energy,
that negative energy trying to stop someone or cancel them out? I don't understand it.
Well, I know you met somebody before he recently passed away that actually meant something to you, and you can certainly appreciate kind of his journey as well. So, Pete Rose was somebody special to you.
Yeah, people always ask me, who's the coolest person you ever met? And I always say Pete Rose. And they're like, why? It's like, I'm a big baseball guy. I love,
Was that your bag?
That's my thing, and I had just got out of the hospital. So this was 2006. And And I heard Pete Rose was coming to San Antonio signing autographs. Like, dude, I got to go meet Pete Rose. I tell my wife, drive me there.
Go, yeah.
And I'm in a wheelchair. I couldn't walk, but I couldn't stand up that long. That my stamina just wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And I'm in line. I'm getting closer, and Pete Rose sees me, and he moves to the side, and he starts waving his hat towards me. And so I start getting closer. Then he tells like his handlers, like, "Hey, get him up here. I want him to sit next to me." So I'm sitting next to him, and he's just, and I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm sitting next to Pete Rose."
Yeah, pretty cool,
like,
man.
And he's like, I was like, "Son, were you in the service?" Like, "Yes, sir." I was like, "What branch?" "Air Force." I was like, "What happened?" And I kind of tell him and where this happened. And then he says the coolest thing. It's like, "Did you kill a lot of those mofos out there?" And I was like, "Yes, I did, sir." And
That's great.
He was so cool. He signed so many things for me. And then he will send me stuff like signed jerseys and baseball. And anytime I will see him at an event, I will hear his voice. He'll see me. He's like, "DT, get over here. Come sit over here."
Nice.
And so when he passed a couple of weeks ago, it hurt.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, I teared up because he was a good friend.
He became a friend.
He became a friend. And in my opinion, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
I agree.
You can't talk about the greatest players out there and not have him be in the Hall of Fame. You have his shoes, his balls, his bat. When he, what he did when he was a coach, not when he was a player.
Yeah.
And if you're going to let all these other players get in for what they've done, he needs to be in there.
Yeah, we're all fallen men.
Yes, sir.
And by the grace of God, there go I, right?
Yes, sir.
So, well, DT, I want to give you maybe a minute and a half here to just express your message in summary. And then I want to encourage everybody to go out to deltorostrong.com to get to know this story and purchase A Patriot's Promise. This is a fantastic book that I can't wait to get into. I know you've given me excerpts, so I can speak to a little bit of it, but I can't wait to get into this, and thank you for this gift. But I want to give you about a minute and a half to give us your best message, brother.
So my message really is, we all have hard times out there. We all have moments where we think we can't do it. But I like to tell them, our mind's a very powerful thing. And if you quit in there before you start, then you will lose. But you got to find that strength. You got to find, again, that spark that drives you, that keeps you going, that keeps you fighting. It can be something simple. It could be your kids. It could be someone telling you, "Oh, you're never going to do this." And you just want to prove them, "Oh, yes, I will." Mm-hmm. But again, you can't do it on your own. You got to ask that help. You got to look for that help. You got to maybe sometimes read about something that help you. And that's what I want for people to do, that there is still joy in life. What happened to me, it sucks. But I'm still here. I'm still doing things. I'm still going to car shows. I get to see my son grow up, see him graduate college, hopefully see him, when he becomes a detective. I got to enjoy, my time with my wife, us, getting old together, playing with my dogs. It's the simple things. People always ask, "Well, what makes you happy?" I mean, he's sitting on my back porch, my dog's laying next to me, and looking at the mountains.
It's a good day.
And I look, it's like, what could be better? And there was a moment last year when I had that, where I was like such at peace, that I called my wife and I told her, "You know what, hon? I was such at peace. If I had died at that moment, I would have been okay."
Right on, my friend.
And that's all what everyone needs to do, is find that moment that gets you to that peace.
Very good. God bless both of you. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for listening and watching. This has been Israel de Toro, DT, as we call him. And thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank you, my friend.
God bless. And God bless you all in the East. We're hoping and praying for you that you have peace and hopefully some resolution as things clean up after the hurricanes.